back at some of the ones we've done as well. Let's get started, shall we? Bang! 3 at 3, presented by Market Rebellion. You want to learn more about it, folks? Just go on over to marketrebellion.com. That's marketrebellion.com. You can learn all about what we're talking about. If you're new to option trading, you've never done it before, well, maybe it's a good idea for you to check out marketrebellion.com/get started. Because getting started, the sooner you get started understanding options, will it take you years? No. Our programs are designed to help you be up and ready to do some beginning trading in as little as 30 days. If you have as little as maybe 20 minutes, 3 or 4 times a week, where you could go online and check out the educational platform, I think you could turn yourself into a much better investor. You could go to marketrebellion.com/get started for that. Or for what I'm going to be showing you right now, you go to marketrebellion.com/UOA for unusual option activity. What I'm about to present is information and educational. That's it. All right. So, Norwegian Cruise Lines, folks, NCLH. I have been in this one, luckily. As you've seen from here, we got into it just over $12 a share. That was on the 20th of May. Here it is the 27th, a week later. And the stock today has already traded up to $17.84. Mid-session, or near the end, let's say, in the final hour of trade, it is $17.27. So those 1350 calls, as well as those 14 calls, both working out nicely. There it is as it traded up to $17.84 just after the opening today, and making another little move through $17.25 right now. So the right to buy it at 14 would be worth $3.26 right now. How do you like that? That's what I'm talking about, folks. All right, SIG, which is Signet Jewelers. We talked about this one last week as well. Signet, SIG, they were buying June 12 calls. Well, Signet has moved up another 90 cents today. That's over 8% that the stock has moved up just today. And we're enjoying that ride. Stock's now $11.78, so the right to buy it at 12 is becoming more dear, which is a positive, right? Take a look also at Federal Express. Talked about it yesterday when the stock was $123.70. They were buying the June 145 calls. Many of you understand that I bought a lower strike than that because that's what I do. I will frequently move the strike price towards the money rather than betting on a huge out of the money performance. Because, quite frankly, this was a $25 out of the money call yesterday. $20, out of the money call. So I wanted to be in something a little closer to the money, but for those of you who wanted to only risk 28 cents, I'm sure some of you did. And today, with the stock moving up by 4% or $5, you're a very happy camper. So in other words, if you yesterday wanted to buy 1,000 shares of this stock, would have cost you $123,700. That would be 1,000 shares of $123 stock that's trading for $123.70. Now, if you wanted to buy those options, like we said yesterday, 28 cents is $28. 1,000 share would be in FedEx, would have set you back $280. You just move the decimal place. And it's 10 contracts for 1,000 shares. Stock just went through 130, folks. So some of my calls are already taking some profits on some of these. Those June calls that we talked about, though, the June 145s, just to give you an idea, those right now are trading for 60. Let's see, they've traded as high as 77 cents today, and right now they're trading for 65 cents. So, again, not a bad trade. If you're in for under 30 cents, you've already doubled your money on the trade. Bang! Now let's get to our first of 3 at 3. First one, FXI. So, as you know, I got tagged in that Chinese debacle when Congress decided, yeah, let's tell the Chinese if they're not adhering to our rules that they got to delist these stocks. We're not going to let them trade in America anymore. That was bipartisan. This is not just a Trump thing, not just Democrat versus Republican, both sides. I think it was 98 of the 100 member Senate. I think 98 of those votes were for this particular bill. So I don't know why they wouldn't have had to adhere anyway to our rules, but for whatever reason, they've had a pass for decades. And in fact, for at least the last 10 years, Chinese stocks have been, listing on our exchanges. And I'm not saying that I don't like to trade them. I do like to trade them. I was in Baba. I was in Baidu. I was in JD. I've been in many of these stocks. But now, is it surprising to see that if we've got legislation like this moving its way through Congress, that we might see 10,000 of these June 3750 puts changing hands? That's a million share equivalent, folks. A million shares worth of sold in your face. Where has this one been? There's where it's been. That's today. So as you can see, it has the Chinese large cap ETF for these internet names has already been nearly to $37.75. It's presently at about $38. And the people that are buying these puts, the 3750s, paid about $73 per put. And they bought 10,000 of them, so that's $730,000 worth. That's why we follow it. Let's do our second of our 3 at 3, shall we? Synchrony Financial. This is one that I talked about on the halftime report. By the way, I really did like Brad Gerstner's of Altimer Capital. I really did like his presentation on our show. I wish we could have spoken to him, but we all know that when you're off in boxes all over the country, me here in Chicago, Jenny, I can't remember if Jenny was coming from Boston or no, she was coming from Connecticut. Steve Weiss from over in Jersey. I think Joe over in Long Island. Anyway, you get the idea. It's kind of hard when Brad's way out on the West Coast and we've got 4 of us disparately located around the rest of the United States on the Zoom call sort of thing. It's tough. But nonetheless, this was one of my unusual activities. I got to throw it out to you guys as a final trade. Synchrony Financial was $20.20 at that time, and they bought 1.4 million share equivalent of these July 22 calls for $108 a piece. So $108 is how much that's how much $1.08 is in options parlance, because every option is for 100 shares of stock. So with these folks out there trading 1.4 million share equivalent, I'd say that's a pretty bullish call, wouldn't you? As I've disclosed, I was long Synchrony and JP Morgan today. Both of them worked out nicely. We had Tony Dwyer yesterday with us. Thank you, Tony. We had Tony Dwyer with us yesterday on our 4 p.m. volatility roundtable, and we were talking banks and tanks. That's Tony's expression. But banks and tanks, wow, has that one worked out. Anyway, Synchrony Financial, take a look at this one. Was $20.20 then. Where's it now? Oh, it's only up $1. It's only $1 higher. So let's focus in on this. If you're a stock trader, because you don't have to be an option trader to take advantage of unusual option activity that Pete and I see. But if you're a stock trader, you could have bought stock at $20.20 and pumped it out $1 higher. Now you would have tied up $21,000 or $20,000 to do that, and you'd make $1,000. $1,000 on a $20,000 investment. It's not bad. It's 5%. Okay, so how'd you do on the options? Well, let's take a look. So the July 22 calls, which were 108, and I'm pulling up Synchrony Financial right now, July 22 calls. Let's see, July 22s. How are my July calls doing, guys? Let's see, July 22s are right now, have traded to $1.65. Now, take a look at our entry again, 108. So you made basically 60 cents on this already, which means if you had $108 per option, you've made $60 on a $108 investment, like that. $60 on a $108 investment. So, I'm just getting another fill here. As opposed to, by the way, folks, that 5% return, because as I said, if you would have traded stock, again, love you stock traders. I trade some stock very aggressively as well. Sometimes too aggressively. I admit it. I'm like Dave Portnoy, day trader Dave, day trader John. I trade stock from time to time, but you tie up a lot of cash doing that. That's why I like trading options, and I can define my risk when I enter with options. But if you're a stock trader and you put $20,000 down to buy 1,000 shares of stock, you made $1,000 because $20,000 investment, it's trading $21,000 right now. That's your $1,000. $1,000 on a $20 investment is 5%. So how did we do? 55% so far. Still counting in both cases. Just letting you know. 55% versus 5. You got to decide what's right for you. All right, let's hit our third of our 3 at 3 right now. Axalta. So this is coatings for all manner of products. Coatings, things you spray on, things you paint on that make something tougher, less scratch, less scratches and all the rest. Probably some sort of institutional use for this. So this is Axalta, A-X-T-A. I'm checking my position. AXTA, Axalta Coatings. It is now trading 23.67, so it's a little bit higher than where it was. We were talking about the July 25 calls. Embedded information. So that information that you learn from options that you don't learn from stock. Number one, they wanted 2 months into the future because we're not even into June yet. So we've got June and July, 2 months. Where are they buying these calls? Are they buying an in-the-money call? Are they buying an at-the-money call? Nope, they're buying an out-of-the-money call. So they're asking the stock to make an upside move greater. They're not seeking a stock-like investment. So that's the 3 things you need to know about this. So they paid 80 cents for 6,500 of these. That'd be $80 times 6,500. So let's call it a little over $500,000 on a single trade. Bang! That they pulled the trigger on. 6,500 is 650,000 share equivalent. There's the chart. Doesn't look bad, does it? Nice little gap there as she moved up yesterday on that gap and gapped again today. Be nice to see this one gap over 24 and move towards 25 tomorrow, wouldn't it? Let's see. Keep your eye on it. That's Axalta. A-X-T-A. A-X-T-A. Axalta. All right, folks, you want to learn more about what we do, how we find unusual option activity, you can just go to marketrebellion.com/UOA for unusual option activity. Post it up there throughout the trading day, probably in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 trades a day. We do updates as well. You can check it out at marketrebellion.com/UOA. You can also, folks, get started with us and do some distance learning. Log onto your computer any time of the day or night and do a chapter of option education. Put yourself into a better position to make money and not lose money. That's what you can do on our educational side. If you need more, you've got coaches, we've got mentors, we've got free included in your whichever of these educational or coaching or mentoring are a number of group sessions where you can log in and listen to a webinar, and it's just restricted to people that have paid. It's not a free one. But check that all out at optionrebellion.com/get started. Bang! I hope you have a great day. I hope you made some money today, and I hope you're generous to whoever you see on the streets that needs a little help if you can. And I'll be back here with you tomorrow. Pete will be on the halftime report. I'll be holding down the fort here